It's a very, very warm welcome to Hope Channel Kenya. My name is Catherine and I'm always so happy to know that you are watching. This is Storyline, and in this program we help you to appreciate God's goodness in many ways. We bring people that share personal testimonies, we bring people that God is using to reach out to others. And today we are so blessed to have Ron. Ron tells me his other name is Kaidas. Wow, I do not know how to spell it, but Ron, you're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Ron is the director for Maranatha International. Maranatha is a Christian organization, Seventh-day sponsored, really, that has people that volunteer to serve through their talents, to serve through their finances, to serve through anything that God has laid in their hands. And he tells me that for the last 5 years, he's been in this country putting up schools, putting up churches, and digging wells for communities that have been struggling for water for a long, long time. So Ron, you're very welcome. Tell me about yourself just a little bit. Where were you born?
Oh, when I was born?
Yes.
Long time ago.
In India?
I was born in India, in a place called Pune. That's where Spicer Memorial College is. Close, we lived there. And then we moved to Africa, I think in the year 2004. So it's been about 16, 17 years in Africa.
I guess you have several African names, having been to different countries.
Yes, I have.
You have such a passion for Maranatha. How did you join?
Oh, it's an interesting story. When I was doing my final semester of my MBA, there was a volunteer group that came to India, and they wanted 10 volunteers who would sort of be gophers and be translators to the different churches that we were building. There were 10 churches that were going to be built, and so on each church, each one was supposed to be there to help translate. Mm-hmm. My wife signed up to be one of the volunteers. I was not interested, and just before they could go, my wife was taking shorthand in office administration, and she said she could not miss any classes. Mm-hmm. And so she signed me up instead of her. And my department head told me a few days or weeks or a week ago that, Ron, are you ready? So I said, yes, sir, I'm ready. I thought it was something to do with the club, the business club. And he said, have the tickets been booked? I said, what tickets, sir? And said, no, I believe you are going to be one of the volunteers who's going to go and help that group that has come to Calcutta, Bengal. That's the name of the state. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, I'm not going. No, your wife signed, that time she was my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Your wife signed you up, Anu signed you up. And I said, I went on and I said, why did you do this? I'm not interested. And she said, no, you should go. If you really, really love me, you will go. I said, I don't love you and I'm not going. Well, of course, I ended up going, and by the end of the entire project, I saw a lot of miracles happen. You know, I remember we prayed, and as soon as we prayed, that prayer was answered. And I had never seen something like that in my life. I saw how Maranatha was helping people. You know, really, we worked in some very remote places during that time, and it did open my mind. In fact, it opened my mind that I did not believe there were places like this in India. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know, this is good work that these people are doing. And I was happy that I was part of that. I volunteered. But at the end of the project, they asked me if I would like to join the company, you know, actually start working for them. And I said no, because I already had a job that I had been offered, and it was a good job. And, you know, I had those big dreams of, you know, a business graduate, and I didn't want to join a ministry. Mm-hmm. But by the end of the project, somehow I told the Lord, you have taken care of my needs. You have blessed me, you have taken care. You know, I did not have a lot of, I come from very humble background, my wife and I both. So we worked, we did a lot of odd jobs, and somehow we could pay our fees. So I said, God, I'll work for you for 6 months. And after 6 months, I paid my debt to you. And I would like to go back to the corporate world. Well, it has been about 16, 17 years now that I've been working for Maranatha.
So you didn't get to the corporate world?
I did not, but I think the Lord has blessed me abundantly. I don't think so I would have been so blessed even if I had worked in the corporate world. It's just a blessing to reach out to people, you know, change lives, and see the impact firsthand. You know, you actually see what difference it's making in the lives of people. And that's a big blessing. You know, it's a lot of satisfaction that you get out of it.
So does Maranatha just work for churches in terms of doing churches for the Seventh-day Adventist, or do you address other needs? And
we do we work only for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We do not work for any other denomination. We are a Seventh-day Adventist based help ministry, faith-based ministry. We do churches, we do wells, we do classrooms, we do school campuses, dormitories, kitchens, cafeterias, staff housing. So there is a lot of things that we do. It all depends where we are working and what the need is. But more or less we are focused on education, churches and wells. So that is the main thing. But of course then most of these projects are done by volunteers who come from various parts of the world. They come for a short period of time, they work, they serve and they go back.
So how do people sign up for volunteer work?
So we do have a website, maranatha.org, which lists different types of projects that we have. So there are family projects where people, especially during summer break and Christmas time, the entire family comes on a project with the kids and the husband and the wife. So there's a family project. So there is also groups, and groups are where we put up the project. Like we say, okay, here's a project from this date to this date, and anybody who wants to join from anywhere of the world, they come together. Then there are also church-based projects where a church as a whole decides to go on a mission trip and go and do something. Then we have something known as a young adult project, which is between the range of 25 to 35, age group, 20 to 35 age group, where young people come and work. Then we have something known as ultimate workout, which is teens, just teens who are 14. I think the starting age is 14 and it goes to 17, 18. And they go, and this is hardcore. I mean, they tent. It's very cheap because the kids raise the money to go on the mission trip.
Okay.
They pay for everything from the flight tickets to the food. So we keep it very, very basic and very simple. But we just did that at a place called Kyutini last year, where we had about 110 kids, teenagers who came and camped and built a dorm at Kyutini. So these are the different projects, and you just go on the website and it's all listed. So you just sign up, you say, okay, I want to go on this project, this is the time I am free. There is a cost for you to do the project, because each volunteer pays for everything. It's not free. So they come to serve, at the same time they pay for everything that they come for.
So if they're coming to do a project, they chip into the money that goes towards building that?
Yes, it varies. There are certain projects where a church is coming. They say, you know what, we would raise this amount of money to build a classroom or to build a church. So they raise that funds, plus each one pays for their trip. From the time they leave their country till the time they go back, they pay for everything. Food, accommodation, transportation, if there's a small excursion, everything is paid by them, the flight ticket. So not only are they volunteering, many of them they are taking their break, vacation time. Instead of going to a nice beach or relaxing somewhere, they choose to come and serve, to be a blessing to others, and they pay for it. So, and there is a great joy. We have found out over the period of time that once you do it, you get hooked. You just fall in love with it, and people just keep coming. They actually plan. They plan for this throughout the year, because some of them do 2 jobs, just so that they can raise the money for the trip. Some of them sell their cars, some of them sell their pianos, but and the kids, they do this, they wash the cars, they bake cookies and all sorts of things. So they raise that money to go on the trip. And then the best part is that they could have easily done a nice vacation somewhere, but they come to serve and they really enjoy it, and it's a big blessing. It's a big blessing. It changes lives. The impact is so amazing, because I have been doing this, as I said, about 17, 18 years. And I've seen people come, totally discouraged in life. And when they come on a trip, they realize how blessed they are. When they see the need, they see people who are not as in better financial condition than them, and they see, though they are poor, they're still very happy. And they say, you know what, I've got so much. Why am I not happy? And it changes their life. It just, the way they start looking at things, the perspective is completely, it changes for them. And they find more joy and happiness in serving others than going on a vacation, And so I think it will definitely be cheaper to build it in-house. Many people ask, will it not be cheaper that we just send you the money and you use the money to build? But it is, for us, it is not just building buildings, it's building lives. That's a mission. That's a mission. It's building lives through buildings, And so that is why volunteers play a very, very major role.
So basically they come to do things like mixing sand and
They do everything. They mix sand, they make concrete, they mix the concrete, they lay blocks.
Yes.
They put up the steel structure. They do everything. I mean, there is nothing that they cannot do. And you don't have to be skilled because we teach you on the job site. The first day there is a construction supervisor from our side as well as from the group. And so we go through a class of how to lay blocks. So main thing is laying the blocks. But of course, people have to transport the blocks. There has to be cut, the concrete has to be mixed. And then when the project is over, we also clean it up completely. And there is a dedication on the final day where we, for example, if it's a dorm, we actually move all the kids into the dorm.
Amen.
And so there is that great accomplishment. You started from zero, and then here on the final day there's a dedication, there's prayer, and you are actually moving the kids into the dorm, which is a great joy. Same thing with the church. We try to finish the church so that Sabbath we actually worship in that newly built church. So yes, it is just it can be anything. It's surprising. I have seen 90-year-old people come and volunteer. They are on what do you call those things that they hop on around with, they help to move. They actually are moving around with that, and all that they do is supply water, drinking water. But 90 years old, I have seen people come and volunteer. I've seen 85, 90, 95 years old people come and lay blocks. And it's unbelievable. It is tiring. I've done it, and it is not easy.
Yes.
But they come and they have that passion and desire to just be there and do something, make a change, make a difference.
Ron, you did say that you have been to places that have, serious needs that you try to address. You having moved to Africa, many years ago, of course, and been to different countries, what are some of those major needs you get to notice when you get to places?
Needs?
Yeah.
It varies from place to place. But one of the greatest need that we have seen in Africa, and especially in Kenya, is water. Is water. I mean, there is absolutely no doubt. It is mind-boggling that a single person's life, especially a woman and a child, girl child's entire day is spent in getting water. They walk from anywhere between 5 to 15 to 20 kilometers one way. Sometimes they go down a valley. Sometimes they have to scoop sand. I think it's called sand scooping. They go down 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, and then they take a small cap, and that is what they do. You just fill. And many places you have to go there and wait in a queue because there are people waiting to get into that hole into this riverbed to get that water. And then of course there are seasonal rivers which come and they go.
Yeah.
And there are lakes and ponds, and it is just unbelievable that the water is so dirty, and people fall sick. Children, instead of going to school, are actually fetching water, and just people are not healthy. I remember a place called Chumvere. It's close to Isilio. First time I visited there, and I saw people. I mean, their skin was like as if there was no skin. It was just like on a piece of wood you had put a dried skin because there was no water. And we found out, we did a medical clinic there with volunteers, and we found out that they drank about 250 ml of dirty water about once in every 4 or 5 days. That is it. And it is contaminated dirty water. And the doctors and nurses came that night back to the hotel and said, 60 to 70% of this, all medical problems that we saw is because of lack of water and dirty water. And if they have water, everything will be solved. So we did drill a well there. And we went back after about, let's say, 4 or 5 months. And it had completely changed. That village had completely changed. People were healthier, happier. You could see there's no dullness in them. They had started small kitchen gardens, so they were able to grow food. Girls were starting to go to school because there's also a school there that we're helping to build. And girls, instead of going around, they started going to school instead of fetching water. Women had more time in sort of doing handicrafts and selling them. Also, most of these people are nomads, semi-nomads. So they keep moving from place to place in search of fodder and water for the cattle. But now that there was a source of water, there was no need for the men to travel away. So the family was together. So I have seen the biggest need is water. There is such bad health and lack of hygiene or sanitation, especially with coronavirus, where you are asked to wash your hands.
Yeah.
But how do you wash your hand if there is no water?
No water.
So, I think water is, the greatest need that I've seen which has touched my life. My life personally, because I've seen the need. After that, I think the churches, because what we have seen is when you put a well, people stop moving. Especially when you go to the tribal areas, they sort of settle down around the well.
Yes.
So next thing you do is you put a one-day church. And of course the elder or the pastor goes and starts preaching, and almost the entire locality is baptized, and they join the church. You put a few classrooms over there, then children start going to school. So it's a complete package, but I think the greatest need is water, then I would say churches, and then I would say schools.
So looking at this, Ron, it really shows that this ministry is quite evangelical in its approach. If you take care of water, you have sort of solved a problem that would have taken someone out on Sabbath, to fetch water, and they would have more time to reflect on the goodness of God. Because I realize that there are places where people are really struggling, that even when you are trying to introduce God to them, they wonder who this God is, who has left them suffer for all this while. But the other thing I want to find out from you is, in a situation where you've dug the well and people are now enjoying the water, do you leave? How is the management done?
Yeah,
Who takes care of it?
What we do is that, number one is that we drill our wells only where there is a Seventh-day Adventist church.
Oh, okay.
Number one, the property has to belong to the union or the conference.
Yes.
And I would say 95% of the time, it is where we have already put a church or a school. Again, we drill the well, we put the hand pump or the submersible pump, the water tank, whatever it is. Then there's a committee that is formed by the church.
Okay.
And the committee is responsible to raise a certain amount of money every month so that they can maintain it.
Okay.
So, and then of course it is handed over to the church. And the one clause that we have, which is very important, is that this water does not belong only to the Seventh-day Adventist. It is for the entire community, and it does not matter which denomination you come from. And it is free for use. It is not to be sold. That is the condition that we have with the local church leadership. There's a sort of a form that we have, a memorandum of understanding between the church and us. We also have another form which is between the conference or the field and us. And the best part is that as you know, these places, the water is the biggest need. It is like gold. And when they come to know that here is a church, that it is not stopping the other denominations from coming and drinking. Because what we have seen is, for example, let's say a denomination X has a well, then only people who belong to that denomination can use it. Yes. But whereas we are saying no, it is open to everybody, and that's another way how the wells is evangelizing, because people are saying, which denomination is this, which is not saying that only you Adventists can drink this water. You're opening it to everybody, and they are getting interested in what is Seventh-day Adventism. What is the Adventism? What is this message? What is this new denomination? It is very. I think it's very interesting how water is drawing people to the church.
Amen.
People are just interested because you're taking care of the basic need. What is a basic need, and when that is supplied and it is for free, I think it is very impactful how our church members or elders or pastors can evangelize, use the water as evangelistic tool.
Amen. We'll take a short break here. When we come back, Ron is going to share with us some of the projects that they have done in Kenya. But what is clear is that we are not short of means of evangelism. I mean, can you imagine water? A very basic thing. It's not always that people would want you to go there with a big Bible and a hymn book. It is when you provide for their daily needs that they see Christ in you. So don't go away. We are coming back shortly, and Ron will help us understand some of the projects that they have done in this country. We welcome you back to Hope Channel. This is Storyline. My name is Catherine, and my special guest today is Ron. Ron is the director of Maranatha International. It's a Seventh-day Adventist organization that is basically made up of volunteers that spare their time and their resources to come and help those in need. Ron, in an earlier part of the program, did mention that he's been to places that have such needs. And one of the greatest needs he did mention was water. And as we ended part one, we did say that, you can evangelize through those little things in life. And I just want to know, can Kenyans become part of the Maranatha volunteers?
Oh, absolutely. I think it is open for everybody.
Oh, really?
We do not coordinate it from here.
Yes.
It's coordinated from the head office. And somewhere down the line, it is my desire to start certain projects that are for the young people of Kenya, because we have a lot of projects.
Yes.
Where a church could say, hey, we would like to come and help put up one-day churches, because it's put up in a day. So a group of young people can come together, they come with their tents, they move from place to place and they help put up churches. Or there is construction going on where we could plan it during a break. But it has to be worked out, where people are interested to come and volunteer.
Yes.
And if they want to join the international projects, of course they have to go through the head office. There's a website, www.maranatha.org.
Yes.
And everything is given on that, all the details. And you can have your own groups. You can actually form your own groups. You decide to say, okay, I want to volunteer and I would like to bring my church on a project. And you could get in touch with the head office and we could find a project for you.
Amen. Now tell me, what are some of the projects that you have done in Kenya for the last 5 years?
We actually have, as of today, if I'm not mistaken, we have put in about 347 churches, one-day churches, all across Kenya. We have worked and these churches are actually put in very, very remote places. They are not for the cities and the towns. They are for places where people have nothing to worship under, trees or open air or huts or containers or shops that they rent, and that's where they worship. And we have found out that when we put these churches, they are simple, they are made of steel and they have a beautiful roof, it's brand new. People love it. They love that it's a physical steel structure, and they can come and worship it, and they actually take care of it. It's clean. And the walls can be put by anything. It can be block, it can be brick, it can be tarpaulin, it can be sticks, it could be hay. Anything can be done, and many of these churches, they finish it. So, and we have seen that, when you go and put these churches up, I've seen men come and hit the columns, not believing it is actually steel, because most of the churches are made out of sticks or, cardboard or thatch or mapati, which is already rotten or lots of hole in it. So they can't believe that it's a steel structure which is strong with a brand new roofing. They actually stand there and they look at it. They're in awe of it. And many of these buildings are also used for adult literacy classes.
Okay.
So during the week, anybody who's educated, they actually take 2 or 3 times of classes under that shed. So during the week, it is also used as adult literacy classes. And I've been also told that many of the chiefs say that this is a sacred place. So any important decision that has to be taken for the community or that locality will happen under that roof, because this is where God resides.
Amen.
So we have put up close to, as I said, 347 churches, 350 churches over the last few years, and which has again increased membership. I've gone back, initially when we put those churches in, it is just like 10, 15, 20 members, and you go back after a year and a half, and there is like 70, 80, 100, 200 members in the same place. People just want to go to a place, worship in a place that they can be proud of.
Yes.
They can invite their families, their relatives or the community people, come and join our church, come and hear to the gospel. Because when they hear the gospel message which we have, which is the real true message, and they compare it with the Bible, they know that this is the true denomination, the true church, and they are okay to come and worship under that building. Because earlier they are made fun of. Hey, what type of church denomination is this? You're worshipping under trees or open air. They made fun of. Even they want to go, they can't. So this structure is helping evangelize, and evangelize in places which are very, very remote, where nobody wants to go. And I very strongly believe that Christ is not going to come again till the gospel spreads to every nook and corner of the world. And I have when I came to Kenya, something kept telling me, Ron, I want you to work in remote places. And I had been in Africa for some time, and I have seen remote, I've seen the bush. It's only when I started traveling all across the length and breadth of Kenya, I started understanding what is remote, because we have worked in some very, very, very remote places. It is that you think you have come to the end of the world, and most of the time you think that you're lost, because you are wondering, Pastor, do you know where you're going? Because it's in the middle of absolutely nowhere. But you go back, and those small, simple structures are making a change. It's bringing people to Christ. We have, in terms of schools, we have put in quite a few schools. We have put in schools at Kisi, a place called Getare HD School, a fully brand new campus. In fact, you should have seen that school when we went there for the first time. It was made of mud and sticks, and the roof was leaking. When it rains, all the mud will flow off, and you can only see the sticks and you'll see the mud. And it was a very bad shape. And so we went back there and built a brand new, completely blocked, beautiful campus for them. The same thing also we did in a place called Gucha, again in Kisi. I think it's under the Nyanmira conference. Again, same condition, very, very bad conditions. I think they were just going to close the school because the infrastructure was so bad that the school was going to be closed. So we again went back and built a beautiful campus, and we don't only just build the campus, but we do a lot of landscaping. We make it very, very beautiful and pretty, and we furnish it. It's fully furnished. And so I think when we went back to the same school after a year, they had when we were constructing it, it was only 30 or 40 kids. When we went back, it had grown to about 180 or 190 students in just about 7 or 8 months' time. So because again, the problem is our Adventist education is the best education. People all know that. I mean, the Adventist education is very good, but it's our infrastructure that is falling apart. And slowly and steadily, that's what we are doing as Maranatha, building up the schools. We can't do a lot because they are really expensive. But whatever we could do, we are trying to slowly build them up and make sure that it's not just built, but we want to make it very pretty, where a parent comes and says, wow, this is a place I want my child to study. The environment, the facilities. So we are making, and of course we are putting in wells in each of the school campuses. So there's plenty of water to not only take care of landscaping, but bathing, showering, everything. There's a very beautiful campus that we just almost are about to finish at a place called Kyutini. It's near Mawa. And when we walked in there about 4 years ago, it was pathetic. I mean, the dorms were made, there was mud floor made out of wooden planks, the dust could come in, the scorpions could come in, the snakes could come in. 3-4 kids slept on one bed, and this is from Form 1 to Form 4. So you can imagine this big kids trying to sleep on this thing. Of course, the kitchen was open air, the kids would sit out on the rock and eat, and when they used to eat, within 5 minutes your entire plate is filled with dust because it's an open air and very windy. I think they had just one bathroom for the girls and one bathroom for the boys. Out of, I think, about 180, 190 kids, just one toilet for the boys, one toilet for the girls. The shower was open air with just mabati put around, and if you scoop the water on your head, it will fall down and your legs will be filled with mud. So this is a place that we went to and it just touched my heart. I said, God, one dorm for the girls. Somehow I don't have a girl. I'm the 4th generation that doesn't have a girl in the family. So girls are a little bit close to my heart. I said, just one dorm for the girls and one bathroom, just so that a girl should have a decent bathroom to shower, not this thing. And these are teens, the toilet, just one toilet, it made no sense. So I said, God, just one bathroom, one shower and one dorm. The Lord blessed, and Lord blessed abundantly. It's a beautiful campus. I hope we can show you some pictures. We built 2 girls' dorms, 2 boys' dorms with attached bathrooms, showers, flushing toilets, dining hall, a kitchen, fully furnished. All the dorms are fully furnished, not only with the bunk beds, but with the mattresses, the pillow covers, the pillows, the towels, the trunks, everything. Wow. We just finished the staff housing. Earlier, the teachers used to stay in a 10 by 10 foot room. That's it, mud floors, and it was like as if, I think the prisons would be bigger. No, seriously, it was bad. And you wonder, how can a teacher impart knowledge when he or she is not comfortable?
Yes.
And the same thing with the kids. There was no electricity. It was dark, dungy. The dorms were like stuffy. How do you study? So we went back and did the staff housing. We did some classrooms. We did an administrative block, and we did a beautiful landscape. In that locality, which is so dry and dusty and red, and that's where I was talking about those teenagers who came and worked. It is beautiful. They say it is Eden on earth. It is so beautiful, and it's a conducive environment for students. From Form 1 to Form 4 to go. There's good dorm facilities to go and study, and they're doing well. I don't know what you call it, but the county exams or something that they take, the percentage has gone up because the environment has become good. The last project that is very, very close to my heart is, of course, we have built schools in a lot of other places, but the one that is now, right now, the closest is called Kajiado Girls Rescue Center. It's at Kajiado, and this is where they rescue girls from early childhood marriage and FGM. And, you know, I don't think so any child should go through what they go through. It is just traumatic, and you know, you hear those stories, and I've heard those stories over and over again, but trust me, till now I break down and cry, because the things that they go through, those girls, and running away from home, not knowing where it is, walking for days together, encountering wild animals, crossing flooded rivers, no water to drink, no food to eat, always scared that you will be caught and taken back home, and fighting against all those odds. I mean, I admire the determination and the courage these young girls have, and they're so small, and coming to place where they want to get educated, you know. And so we are building this entire campus. It's a beautiful campus. It was just till grade 8, and the problem was, you know, once the girls run away from home, they can never go back to their tribe. They can never go back to the village. They're excommunicated from the family. So after grade 8, there was where to go. They are in a worse condition. Neither can they go home, neither can they go anywhere else, because who's going to take care of their education? So we said, you know, we need to put a high school here. So we started a high school this year. Grade 9 has started and 10 has started. Next year would be grade 11 and 12, that is form 3 and 4. And so we're building a beautiful campus, dorms for the primary girls, dorms for the high school girls, a dorm for the boys, a dorm for the primary boys, high school boys, classrooms, staff housing, matrons accommodation, a full boundary wall. You can open the faucet and you can drink off it. So it's a fully purified plant. Any faucet anywhere you can open on the campus and you can drink off the tap. So underground sewage, underground electrical, everything is underground. So it's a beautiful campus, something I'm very proud of, and I think the girls deserve that. Because if a girl can decide that she wants to become something in her life, why not? So I very, very strongly feel about that.
So Ron, you seem to get quite attached to some of these projects because of the needs that you see. How do they affect you personally?
I mean, you know, like as I was talking about Kajiado, you just, even now, you know, I was sort of tearing up. It just, it makes you understand that you're so blessed. And it also makes you understand that you can reach out and help people, you know. So I get emotional about it because I just don't think any child should go through that, you know. I have sons, and I can't imagine my son, you know, running away from home, not knowing where he's going, and he's a boy. No, I just try to compare if I had a child like that, what would happen. So you get emotionally attached. Like the girls, I know each girl over there on that campus by face. I may not know all their names, and you know, when they come running to you and they hug you, and you know, it is so emotional. It makes you attached. It makes you that, okay, you're making a small difference in the lives of people, you know. And it could be through a church, it could be through water, it could be through schooling, it could be medical clinics that the volunteers come and do, a vocational Bible school. Me and my team, it's not just me, I'm just the face. You know, there's a big team that backs me up, that is working day and night behind the scenes. And you know that you are, number one, helping humanity in a way. And number two, you know that you are being part of the Gospel Commission, because that's what we are all called to do. And there are different ways that you can do. You know, I'm not a preacher, but I can do this, you know, and some of my workers, they are good at masons, and you know, it's just different talents. If we all pull together, I think the Savior will come much, much sooner. It's just that everybody has to realize that you need to get involved. You just need to get involved and make a difference.
Ron, there are places that I know that you've been to that are quite tough in terms of facilities, in terms of the landscape, and generally, I mean, just putting up there for a night must be quite something for you. How do you manage?
Oh, you get a lot of bad stomach. You fall sick quite a bit, but I guess slowly you sort of develop you know, resistance to it. Some of the places that we have gone and stayed is tough. You know, there's no food to eat, and even if I eat that food, I know I'll get food poisoning or I'll fall sick very, very badly, fall sick, typhoid or whatever. You carry water, but the water gets so hot you can't drink it. Accommodations because of mosquitoes or bed bugs, but you know, when you come back, you enjoy your house a bit more. You have a hot shower and you have a nice bed, and your wife cooks you some good food, so you appreciate that. But you also, it's only until you go through it. If you don't go through it, then you will not understand what those people are going through. you have to feel it, go through it to understand what those people are going through, and how what you are doing as an organization, as Maranatha, is make a difference to those people's lives, and you also start respecting those elders and those pastors who minister in such tough places. They walk. Most of them don't have a motorcycle or even a cycle. They walk from one village to another village preaching. So you respect what they are doing, in terms of in spreading the gospel. Is it tough? Yes, it is tough. Yes, when you fall sick, you don't feel good. Yes, it's hot and it's sometimes humid and it's dusty, and you go through all of it. But of course, as you get older, you sort of don't have that much, energy that you could do when you were young. But it keeps you humble, it keeps you grounded, and it tells you the ground reality. I could work from my office, but then if I don't go out, then I won't be as passionate as I am, because I go into the field and experience it.
Do you sometimes preach, or you just want to preach by action?
I do presentations. When I go to the States, I present what is happening in Kenya during convention. We have something known as a convention where all the volunteers from all over the world come for a couple of days. Friday and Saturday we have 2 programs, and I present on what's happening in Kenya, the impact, how well operation is impacting lives, or the schooling, or the churches. So I do make presentation, but I shy away from preaching, because I think my calling is different, and I like to be more into the action part of it. It's more for me, I need to be involved. So it's just I think, as I said earlier, we are still preaching, but just in a different way.
In a different way. Tell me about the wells. How many have you done?
Wells, I think we have done as of now 46 wells. We would like to do as many we can, because people somehow like to donate for wells a lot.
Amen.
Because again, is basic necessity of life, and it also is a very big evangelistic tool. And so we unfortunately got delayed, because when the rig came in, it took us a long time to get it released from the border, then get the permits done and all that thing. That delayed us a lot. It took us almost took away a year of our time, which was more on paperwork. But finally, by the grace of God, we have them registered on a Kenyan number plate, and they're going from in fact, every 3rd day we are hitting a well.
Amen.
Every 3rd day. Right now they are in the Ukambani region. As you know, it is a very dry and needy and desolate and poor place, and people really are need water. And by the grace of God, so far every well that we have drilled, we have hit sweet water.
Amen.
Sweet water and plenty of water. And there was one place that we could not hit water. We went very deep, but we could not. And then we were on the same land, we tried another place, yet we could not hit water. And people were crying, and literally crying, that please keep drilling. And I believe there have been instances where people were holding each hands and legs of not letting my crew leave the place, because water. And so it is touching how great that need is in Ukambani for water, and that's where we're drilling. And God has blessed, and I believe we will continue drilling wells there and continue putting churches there. I think we're going to put in 60 one-day churches, and we will drill at least 30-40 wells.
And so you get donors for each well?
Yes, each well is donated. We have donors from all over the world, mostly from the US, who donate for this. And of course, we send them a picture and a video and a thank you note, so that they know
that the work was accomplished.
Yes, and we also send them a GPS coordinate, so they can actually go on Google Map and see actually if their well is there or not.
Amen.
Same thing goes with the church, and same thing goes with the school. They actually get a picture and a GPS coordinate, so that they can actually go and see that yes, that has been done.
How does your family cope with your long absences, especially when you go to some of these very difficult areas?
I think the boys more or less are used to it now. So is Anu, my wife, and I'm blessed that I have her in my life, because unless the wife backs you up, you can't do things like this. Because it is not easy to handle work. She works for Maranatha, and she also takes care of the family, plus cooking, the house. And then when I am not there, she sort of manages the base, because I am traveling. So she is sort of the base, she is the number 2 in charge. So unless you have a woman back you up, I don't think so it is possible. So I'm grateful to God that I have her. She is to be blamed, because she pushed me into this job. She was supposed to be going on a trip, and I landed a bit. So, but no, I'm just grateful for that, and I think my children are proud of what I do. My younger boy, son Arnav, wants to be just like me.
Amen.
So it's good, and they see what daddy and mommy is doing and the changes that we are making. And it is difficult. Of course, you miss your family, you know, especially in the evenings when you are done with work and you're in a hotel room and there's nothing to do. And most of these hotels, you know, there is hardly anything. There's no internet and there's no television. Even if there's television, hardly any channels coming. So you do not know what to do. So that's the time you miss them a lot. And especially, you know, they grow up so quickly and they're gone. So you sort of say you have to try to balance it. I've cut down quite a bit on travel, not as much as I used to. But I still, as I said, I like to travel because it keeps me grounded. It helps me to speak passionately, because if you don't go into the field, you will not feel, and you can't feel it if you don't experience it.
Ron, as we come to close this interview, what is it that drives you in doing this work? What is it?
I think number one, I believe this, and I keep telling this to my team, that each one of us, not only me, each one of us handpicked by God. That is a very strong belief I have. It is not an accident, because if you hear the stories of how each one was picked up or chosen, it was not by accident. It was a miracle. It was God handpicked each one of my team members. Number two, as I said, you know, you're making a difference. And it is on many levels, you know, whether a child is getting an education, or a girl child doesn't have to go to FGM, or, you know, early childhood marriage, or clean water, healthy life. People are able to start small kitchen gardens, so they are having something to eat, you know, many of these places, place to worship. And above all, you know, you're again, the fact that you are part of the ministry. Maybe I can't preach, but I can do something different. And you're touching lives, you're changing lives, not only physically but spiritually, mentally, socially. It's all round impact, you know, it's just not one thing. So I think that is something that drives me a lot. It makes me to do more.
Someone watching you may be saying, how can I do something? Is there a formula that one can use to start doing something for God?
No, I think it has to come from within. It has to be from your heart, you know, it has to come from within. You cannot force yourself to do something. Yes. So it has to be from within, and you have to believe that you can make a difference. And it could be a very small difference, but you should believe that I can make a difference. And the difference could be anything, you know. It could be, it doesn't have to be volunteer work. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you know, in whichever place you're staying, you could make that difference. But the belief that I have to make a difference, I need to make a difference, has to come from within. And if it does come, then you're passionate.
Wow, what a good note to end. It has to come from within. And perhaps it's time to really ask yourself, is there something I can do? Yes, each one of us can do something. That small difference that you make in someone's life adds value to their lives. And as we come to the end of this show today, I want to challenge you that you can do your small Maranatha. You can just do it. You look around, especially in this time of COVID-19, and think of the many helpless people around you, the old people, the sick, the orphans, the widows, the widowers, the HIV positive, people struggling with cancer and other terminal illnesses that just need a hand. And in those small things that we do, God recognizes and appreciates. I want to thank you, my brother Ron, for coming. I'm quite enlightened to know that I really need to discover what I can do for God. And I may not be a big donor, a big volunteer, but if I do just something within my sphere of influence, God recognizes and appreciates. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wish you the best. We look forward to you coming again to share with us more of some of the projects and bring us more pictures.
It will be a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.